DejecTav has always been the weakest of her clan, bringing shame upon her nearest relatives. Mining was more difficult for her, transporting ore strained her muscles, and watching her swinging axe was pitiful. To say she was dejected would be like saying Lae'zel merely puts up with Vlaakith. While her clan was digging deep for Mithril, as many a dwarf clan is wont to do it seems, some form of hellish fiend was released. That night, DejecTav was visited in her dreams by this presence, offering her powers that no other dwarf in her clan had. As DejecTav was being taken by the Nautiloid, she offered her soul to the fiend, and she was given powers. However, she did not get a choice in what these powers are. This is DejecTav. She's quite dejected. Her background as a guild artisan is the best fit for her. She doesn't really fit any of the other backgrounds, but being as part of a dwarf clan, I guess we can call her a guild artisan. So she is a dwarf, she's a shield dwarf no less. She is a warlock of the fiend subclass. So as described earlier, she didn't pick these abilities. These were thrown and thrust upon her by her patron. So she's been given Blade Ward and Poison Spray and Armor of Agathis and Arms of Hadar as her spells, which is going to make things a bit difficult for her because Poison Spray means she has to be up close. But she does have Blade Wards and Armor of Agathis and Arms of Hadar to help her. But Poison Spray requires a Constitution saving throw, and lots of enemies are fairly good at that. As for her skills, she gets Insight and Persuasion from her background. And then she's picked up History and Investigation. She's not really very good with anything physical. Not that there's any choice here with that. But she's almost a nobody. She's nothing special. That's why she's been dejected most of her life. And as for her abilities, her strength is 10, which is the minimum. Can be for a shield dwarf. Dexterity at 14. She is quite resistant to diseases and things. She has endurance, but she just can't actually do very much with her body. But she can't actually pick up heavy objects. She can keep swinging something light for a long time, but she hasn't built up any strength. And she is fairly charismatic. This is what allowed her to call upon the fiend, her patron, to give her a pact. One of the reasons I've picked a warlock is because I've made very few warlock builds. And this isn't your typical warlock build that's necessarily going to be the strongest, because if it was, I'd pick a different race, charisma of 17, and we'd get it up to 20, Eldritch Blast with Agonizing Blast and maybe one other invocation and just start blasting away. So this might be a bit more difficult to use. She's not exactly optimized, not exactly min-maxed or anything, but I think she'll do alright. So I'm editing and I've only just realised that I messed around with some settings. There's no sound from the game for the whole of the rest of the video. I'm sorry about that. I don't have any time to go and re-record this video, and I'm fairly sure it's going to be the same in the next video as well. I have now gone and corrected it, so apart from this video, the next video, everything should go back to normal. So here we are at level 2, and we get an extra Warlock spell slot, which is nice. This is the maximum we're going to have throughout early access, which is 2. And we get to pick 2 Eldritch Invocations. This is generally what makes Warlocks really quite cool, is we get more customizability than perhaps almost any other class. So she's going to pick Thief of 5 Fates. One of the reasons for me picking this is because I don't think I've ever actually picked it, because we can only use it once per long rest, and it uses a Warlock spell slot. It's a bit sad, but she's going to pick Thief of 5 Fates so that her spells, one of them, new one, is going to be Hellish Rebuke. The other one being Arms of Hadar currently. Hopefully it means it's more likely that enemies will fail their saving throws against them. And then also Mask of Many Faces, because she's not happy with herself. She wants to pass herself off as someone else. She may or may not be using this to get into places she otherwise wouldn't be able to. At level 3, we currently still only have Pact of the Chain available, so that's what we're going to go with. And then for her spell, she's going to pick Mirror Image, because she's going to be upper melee, and this will help her survive. I don't think she's going to change any spells, because Armor of Agathis will be some of the damage output, as will Hellish Rebuke. In fact, all of them are going to be for helping damage, and they all help kind of in melee. We'll show you why I've picked these soon. And at level 4, we get a new cantrip. She is going to pick Friends, because she wants to try and talk her way through situations. She doesn't necessarily have the force to be able to. The spell, she's going to pick up Blindness, which is kind of supposed to help her with her feat, which is Dual Wielder. Because what's better than swinging 1 Warhammer, it will be swinging 2. Also improves her armor class. I really did think about going with Tough as well, just to increase her hit points, which would be really quite high, because it would have been an extra 8 hit points. On top of the Dark One's Blessing, actually gives her quite a high effective hit point total. But we're going with Dual Wielder, and this is so actually she has something to do with her bonus action. Because currently, with all of her spells, none of them use a bonus action, so it can only be used for hiding and jumping. So if she has a free bonus action to use, she can try and swing a Warhammer. She obviously isn't going to be very good at it, but she's got no other use for a bonus action, and the +1 armor class will always help since she's kind of supposed to be in melee. And blindness, if she does cast blindness on someone, she'll have advantage against that person while swinging her Warhammers. So it makes her slightly more effective and everyone else more effective, and that enemy has disadvantage on their attacks. So here are the items I've ended up with, and before I go through the actual items, I just want to show you that DejecTav was going to use anything to help increase her power, and she picked up Volo's Ursat's Eye, which brought her charisma up to 16. Alright, starting from the top, she picked up the Haste Helm, and linked to that, also Chain of Liberation and Spring Step Boots. What these do, the Haste Helm and Spring Step Boots, give her sources of momentum, which increase her movement speed by 10 feet, which helps make up for the fact she's only got short legs. And then the Chain of Liberation, once per turn, the wearer can reduce the duration of their momentum to sprint, which gives them an extra 20 feet of free movement. It's a single movement, it's kind of like a dashing type of action, not dashes and doubling your movement, but literally the character dashes forwards. And that's to help get into melee if she needs to, or out of melee, considering she doesn't have the highest armor class. She also has the Gloves of Power. She's going to give into the absolute. She already sold her soul to the devil or something like that, so she doesn't mind giving up more for extra power, which helps inflict Bane, which is kind of on top of the fact she can cast Bane. Then the Amulet of Misty Step, again for the movement thing, getting in or out of combat. Ring of Colour Spray, kind of linking up with blindness, but this is once per combat. But we have a maximum hit point limit on this, so she can't just use this on every enemy. Have to wait until they are on lower number of hit points. And a Ring of Fire, when dealing fire damage, the wearer deals an additional 1 fire damage. That's only really to go with Hellish Rebuke. It's not much, but it all helps. And she didn't find anything amazing to put into the other ring slot. And just for good measure, she's got a light crossbow. She picked up a few potions of Hill Giant Strength in case she wants to use them. Oh, and her weapons, Faithbreaker, because it's awesome. And we get this lovely weapon skill, Absolute Power, which knocks people back. And what's better than, as I said earlier, 1 Warhammer is 2 Warhammers, which gives us the Intransigent Warhammer. And it was only during the making of this video that I actually realised there's no special battle axes, no magical battle axes. There's a battle axe +1, which is fine. Maybe I could have put that here. And the reason I mention that is that the Shield Dwarf gets proficiency with battle axes, but there's nothing to give her. And this is the reason she also can wear medium armor, is because she's a Shield Dwarf, not because she is a Warlock. Actually, so she's got her Imp summons. It looks like we haven't cast A today. Go and do that. We should always have that done. There we are. And I've got 1 short rest left. So what we can do is either cast Armor of Agathis or Hellish Rebuke. Let's go with Hellish Rebuke just for the sake of it. Then short rest. Oh, and she also did pick up the Tadpole Power. Because again, she wants more power. She wants to be stronger. And also helps with movement, getting into or out of combat, depending on where her allies are, or potentially an enemy in certain circumstances. So we're going to go and fight the Minotaurs here. Before we go in, stick up Blade Ward, because that will help her resist some of the damage. And she goes first, and the Bulette's coming. Great. So we've got momentum at the beginning of the battle, which increases her movement speed by 10. So now she's at 35 feet. And we have the Sprint class action. So I can pick one place to go to within 20 feet. Doesn't use up any movement speed, doesn't use up an action or bonus action, but it does use up 1 count of momentum. So if I do that, we went from 3 down to 2. And now, because of this momentum, she can actually get into combat. And get knocked down. Great. So we're going to send in the Imp. And we'll come back on her next turn to see what she's done. Or to see what she's going to do. So she got basically ganked by everyone around. The Imp died almost immediately. And she's in a bit of trouble. So she wants to get out of trouble. But before she does that, she's going to cast Bane using her Invocation, and they've got a fairly good chance of inflicting Bane on at least one of them, or all 3 of them. And then we've got an option, really, to get out of here of either. We've got Misty Step to get all the way back there. I could use Supernatural Attraction to go to any of the party members, or I could even dash away, but the dash doesn't get so far. What she will do is take her offhand attack. May as well attempt it. Then she'll dash past, hopefully not fall prone. That's the one downside. I should have thought through that first. There we are. And concentration broke. That was my fault. That is not her fault. She's not being controlled by a very good patron at the moment. Gale was quite kind to her and threw a potion of Hill Giant Strength at her. So She doesn't want to use up her last spell slot yet, especially because Lae'zel could get hit. So she's just going to try and hit the Bulette. It's not the best chance to hit, but that's because the armor class is very high. There we are. There's also a chance that it would have had Bane on it because of the Gloves of Power. Now she really is going to get out of here this time. We're going to go with, actually, this is fine. We can get to Gale. Which also inflicts resistance on him. Brilliant. That's because he's got Corellin's Grace, which is a bit bugged. I just want to point out, the Bulette went after the Minotaur, got a critical hit, and managed to do 49 damage to the Bulette. Obviously, if that hit any of my characters, it would have knocked them out. Anyway, we're back to DejecTav's turn. This Minotaur used Reckless Roar, which gives us advantage on our attack, which means we're going to use, though Shadowheart's in a bit of potential trouble here, we're going to try and use Absolute Power on this thing. I don't think we can knock it over the side, sadly. Never mind. There's the Bane I was talking about. And unfortunately, Faithbreaker, the Absolute Power, uses both action and bonus action. It says action there, but actually it does take up the bonus action. Also explains why I don't have any bonus action left. And then hopefully Lae'zel can just come and finish this one off. Of course, you can't see down here. Never mind. Well, this fight really hadn't gone as I'd planned, but something that we can do... Well, it's a bit of a risk. I could either put up Armor of Agathis. I'll show you what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to Misty Step over here. Onto the Grease and Fall Prone. That was such a clever idea. Right, well, I got Lae'zel just to shoot the Minotaur and skipped again Shadowheart's turn to show you what I was going to do. Was either use Armor of Agathis or Hellish Rebuke, and then walk away and hopefully get hit. If I use Armor of Agathis here, it would be best because the Minotaur's got less than 10 hit points right now. If I get hit, this time I'm just going to try and jump away. I didn't get hit. It was worth a go. And then offhand attack. We got a critical hit, I think. I don't know. Oh, it's just vulnerable to bludgeoning damage, sorry. So yeah, I didn't quite get to show off what I wanted to there, so I'm going to go and find another fight. I didn't take a long rest yet, which is why I don't have Bane back. I do just want to point out that Absolute Power does take an action and bonus action here. This might be a bit better to use Arms of Hadar here, where we've got multiple targets all around. If I want to start taking out a single target, then I've already got Armor of Agathis going from before the short rest, which is nice. And then I could put up Hellish Rebuke and walk away and deal 2 sets of damage to someone. Also, then I could probably cast Poison Spray and maybe take a weapon attack. Not so sure because weapon attacks won't be that good. So we're going to get in here and start combat. Well, look at this. We've got Gale and Lae'zel and Shadowheart at the beginning of initiative, and then at the end, DejecTav, because that's how dejected she is. She's always last. Well, this didn't end up going too badly, considering that there are now 4 Kuo-Toa surrounding her. Ideal time to use Arms of Hadar. Unfortunately, they don't have Bane on them from any source, so we're just going to go with straight Arms of Hadar. Not bad, did a fair bit of damage, but no one died. So what we're also going to do is take an offhand attack against anyone that might die, being this Kuo-Toa here. And with the Intransigent Warhammer, if we hit, we knock everyone back. And now she's kind of safe. She is on ice, so she might fall over, fall prone as she has done previously. She was okay this time. So what I'm going to try is use the second spell slot, Hellish Rebuke, just to show you this is actually a bit dangerous. Oh, it didn't even work. Yeah, I'm really hoping that someone will hit her so she can actually get some damage back, but I suppose surviving is okay. Alright, Lae'zel's in a bit of trouble, although she'll be brought up next turn by Shadowheart. But we're going to use the Ring of Colour Spray. We haven't got any spell slots left to use Blindness. We have blinded Lae'zel. Whoops. Again, she's being controlled by someone bad. Anyway, with the blindness, we should have advantage. Now it says not enough movement. That's just about okay because we have sprint. We can get that a little bit closer. Oh, we missed. It's a bit sad. So Hellish Rebuke here has just killed this Kuo-Toa. It's quite nice. Now, in order to give Lae'zel a bit of a break, I'm going to stick up Blade Ward and essentially try and tank a hit or two from Brual here. Again, this is why I got Dual Wielder. With our bonus action, we can try and hit. It's not certain that we're going to hit. Lae'zel got away, and now because she had Blade Ward, she only took 6 damage instead of 12. And also in case any of these guys shoot down to her. Don't know if it will happen. Oh, there we are. She took 1 damage instead of 3. And now this turn, she's got her action and bonus action. No spell slots left. She does have Bless going on her, so let's try this. It's not a great chance. In fact, maybe it's better to use Concussive Smash. Ooh, Bane, that's what we want. So now its saving throws will be affected. So then maybe Shadowheart could, if you really wanted to, just running out of spell slots. Yeah, no, Command Halt. There we are. That'll work. And the Bane helps. Lae'zel can now... Ooh, she might fall over. We'll see. Because we've got the Absolute's power, we're now going to try and push Brual away. And he's gone. We would have died anyway from the critical hits. So DejecTav's far away, but she has Misty Step. So up she comes. And for the first time, she might try and use Poison Spray. Yes! Oh, 1 damage. She's feeling pretty bad about herself, actually. So with Bless going, she's got a much better chance to hit this Kuo-Toa rather than Poison Spray because there's no Bane. And since she still has this... Ooh, up past its saving throw, which is a bit sad. And then Gale can finish this off in an unnecessary manner. He's got the Sapphire Spark. Down it goes. Alright, we'll find one more fight. This time maybe go after the Bulette, something that's difficult, a single target. So the Bulette's encounter has started. All that's really happened is Shadowheart cast Light for Lae'zel, so she and Gale can see. I precast Armor of Agathis and Hellish Rebuke and then took a short rest. Except I didn't because I'm out of spell slots. I forgot to take the short rest. But I can still show this off, which is kind of what I wanted to show off anyway. So I'm going to try and force an opportunity attack. And I keep missing. So the idea is that it will take 10 damage from Armor of Agathis and then some damage from Hellish Rebuke. And we'll get back in there and start whacking away. Or at least attempting to. I'm going to try it again. Who knows what's going to happen. So let's charge in there, sprint in there. There we are. This is what I wanted all along. This is why we use Blade Ward also, so that we take... Wow, look at that. 2 damage. I don't know why it was 2. That seems rather low for the Bulette. I can't say I'm too upset by that, because look at that. On the turn before, Lae'zel got hit for 30 damage. And then we did 10 damage, and we did quite well there on the damage, and the Bulette managed to fail its saving throw. And we've still got an action and bonus action. Now, the thing is, I mean, either way, she's not likely to do much damage. 2 to 9 or 1 to 12. Just got rid of Poison Spray there. Bring it back. However, we can make things even better. Everyone with Colour Spray now. And then we can go for that. Oh, and we've inflicted Bane. So look at this. She's not necessarily going to do the most damage, but she did quite well there with damage. And now she is supporting the group. And the hope is, at this point, that we will be able to kill this thing. So, let's come around this way. Try and knock it back towards everyone else. Never mind. Oh, yes. So, the DejecTav there did about... Oh, she did 29 damage, not really much more. So just under 29%, like 28, 27% of the damage. The rest of it was mostly done by Lae'zel and Gale. But without her help, that last hit probably wouldn't have hit. And she also used up some reactions. She prevented... We want her to be hit by opportunity attacks, which then does leave other people available to walk away if they needed to. So let's take the short rest I thought I had taken. Evidently hadn't. And what could I have done in that fight? Well, I could have cast Mirror Image if she was in trouble. Could have cast Bane, could have cast Blindness. Maybe put Hellish Rebuke back on for a second time there. Fine for the minute. The Familiar got absolutely slaughtered again. All 3 of these fights, the Imp has gone down. But that's probably a good thing because that prevents damage to the rest of the party. And we just can resummon the Imp. So let me know what you think of poor DejecTav here. She's at least fast, if nothing else. What choices would you have made? Like I said, this isn't exactly the strongest build necessarily, but just something a little bit different. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and please consider subscribing, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.